85th session of Ask the Coach. It's a bit different. I've never done this before. I'm Angela Cripps, the MD of the Recruiting Gym, if you don't know who I am. I wanted a repeat of our African special earlier this year. So a few months ago, we did our African special and these wonderful three ladies were on it. And we had such a blast and they are so wonderful. I thought we have got to repeat that. So we're doing it and we're doing it a bit differently. So there aren't pre-asked questions. This is an open forum. If you're on LinkedIn, feel free to ask questions in the chat there. Or come and join us here on LinkedIn and use the chat and get involved here. So it's an open forum for everyone. We've been having a chat in the green room and realised there's loads of things that are challenging at the moment and we want to talk about. But let's get them introducing themselves first and foremost. So Gita, I'm coming to you because this is your second appearance this week. You did one of our Meet Your Recruiters on Wednesday when we talked about top tips for interviews. If you could introduce yourself, please.
I'm obviously Gita Winter. I'm the Director of Performability. I've been in recruitment since 2006. I've done internal recruitment, contract recruitment, contingency recruitment, large and small. I've pretty much done the ringer and I'm super happy to be here again.
Okay, I have to question, what's the ringer? I've done the ringer.
I've done full circle, everything possible in recruitment, sorry.
360, the ring, the whole thing. That makes sense to me. I had no idea. See, a ringer in England is someone that's a bit of a fake that's been put into a situation. They're a ringer. So if you think about like darts or pool in pubs, someone will ask someone else to play and they'll be playing really badly and then they'll start putting bets on it and all of a sudden they're really good and they're a ringer and actually they weren't bad at all in the first place. They were really good. So a bit different here in the UK. Wonderful. Oh, Jane Moores is there as well. Hello, Jane. Wonderful to see these four amazing ladies. Oh, I get in that one as well. Let's stick that one up on the list. Vanessa, I'm coming to you next because your second time as well. You were with us yesterday for the Meet Your Recruiter. This isn't my tale, by the way. I'm cat sitting and she rules the roost. This is Khaleesi, everyone. Or rather, Khaleesi Fun.
Khaleesi, so someone's a Game of Thrones fan wherever you are.
Yes, my daughter.
Exactly. I actually, what if you should have told me? I've got two cats I could have brought onto the screen. So hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Vanessa. It's always a pleasure to join you ladies. I'm based on the garden route of South Africa and I am a talent sourcing trainer. Kind of morphing that role into a little bit of AI and recruitment and at the moment exploring the world of AI video avatars. So yeah, doing lots of different things at the moment and thoroughly enjoying life. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. And last but not least, I've already found out something I didn't know about Sam already in the green room. But Sam, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sam, been in recruitment, my 21st year, yay. I do contingent recruitment and contracts. I'm busy with a company in the UK. We're building out a contracting house for software engineers. And also founded Recruiters Unite, our South Africa's first recruitment conference, which has had two successful years so far. Yeah, and always happy to be here with you crazy ladies. This is fun. Let's get into it.
Definitely. So we thought, well, let's keep this real. We want some positives out of it as well, things that people can take away and utilize. And one of the first things that came up with the discussion, and I've probably had 4 of these conversations this week about how tough the market has been from that amazing high of sort of late 21 into 22 to 2023. Here we officially went into recession in the July. So ladies, the market in South Africa, then let's just get real for a little while and then we're going to put some positives on it. So Sam, I'll come to you first. If you can talk about what your challenges are and what's been happening.
I see quite a big difference with candidates' response in working for a South African company and moving, and not necessarily immigrating, but working remotely for international. I don't know if candidates are nervous about our market, but either everyone has moved, and when I say everyone, very generalistic, but you know, when we were all recruiting 21. And now they're sitting fast because of the elections. They want to see what's happening. But if you mention an international company, they're much happier to talk to you. But again, the process is a lot of them are turning into counter offers, which I haven't seen in my career. So this is a very interesting year to embrace recruitment and the challenges. But that's definitely what I'm seeing on my end.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've not seen it before. Whenever there's uncertainty, and we've definitely got that in the world at the moment, especially this year, it was 70 elections, different countries. We're definitely up to 72 because the UK called one, and then France called one literally a couple of weeks ago. They've got theirs happening as well next week. So to have that many having their general elections this year is totally thrown everyone, put us all into, well, what's going to happen? What's going to change? And in recruitment, then people tend to batten down the hatches. So whether it's the clients putting things on hold and the candidates, we always get that better the devil you know. So if there is a counter offer, they're using that to actually better where they are, rather than potentially, are they really looking to move, or did they just want to utilize it to get a better offer? Because again, companies aren't going to want to let them go. They know how difficult it is to get good candidates. So Gita, you're nodding there. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with Sam. We've seen more counter offers this year than probably my career in totality as well. But what I've also found is that as companies are buttoning down their hatches, that there's a lot of roles where historically may have been two separate roles, where they're trying to morph a myriad of skills into one job spec, which make finding that person in the market significantly more difficult. And when you couple that with we don't want to move for various reasons, or we're accepting counter offer, the candidate market here specifically has become a lot tougher for sure in the last little while.
Yeah, the counter offer has always been there. It's always been an issue, and there are ways to deal with it. So if this is quite new in the sense of the amount that you're getting, then it makes sense. So let's dive into this. So Dan, and what type of tactics do you use when you're speaking with candidates around the counter offer?
Before I get onto that, I just want to echo what these two ladies were saying. I actually hosted a recruiter meetup in Johannesburg probably about 3 weeks ago now, on my way out to Spain, and probably about 40 or 50 mixture of agency and internal TAs there, and everyone's saying the same thing at the moment in the South African market. So don't feel terrible, ladies. I think there's a lot of people in the same boat, and a lot of the pressure was that the business is there, they've got the roles coming in from the client side, but to try and fill them with the hard to find candidates, and candidates also being a little bit reticent to move and change roles at the moment. That's the problem. So I think, the two things we always told as recruiters, and this is a global thing, is that always when you first meet with a candidate, from a recruiter perspective, always be closing. So, you've always got to push them on, why do you want to move? What's so awful there? Almost so, and I always feel like this is a bit of like let's slap it in their face or throw it in their face when they take the counter offer. That was how we were taught to recruit. So that is one way that I suppose that you could deal with it. But I suppose what we've got to start doing now is we've got to start mitigating this from the outset. So, counter offers become a problem in a market at the moment where there's a global market of scarce skills, because companies don't want to lose their good people. And that's why we're seeing all of these counter offers from a global perspective. So I think it's about trying to mitigate that from the outset. And from your first conversation, saying, if they were to counter offer you, what would it be that would make you stay? And then straight away, is this a money decision? Is it an opportunity decision? Is it a learning decision? And when the offer comes from the new company, you're actually providing what they would have stayed for. Is for me the kind of easiest way to do it. Is it easy? Is it so easy to stay here and tell you how to do it? Absolutely. It's much easier to stay than it is to go and to try something new. And I back up what Sam was saying, is that the recruiters at the moment who are in the fortunate position where they can phone candidates and say, I've got a role in the Netherlands, you're going to work remotely in South Africa for a year or two, and then we're going to shift you over to the Netherlands, are the ones that are winning, because even though our elections have happened, there's a much more feeling of positivity in the air in South Africa. There's still that uncertainty that now people would rather leave. So if you're a recruiter, that's the kind of roles I'd be trying to secure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Letting people know that it's going to happen. So when you're first speaking to the candidates, to preempt that you're going to get counter offered. This is the market. It's really hard to get good candidates like yourself. So your company's not going to want to let you go. And of course, if they don't, then they really definitely leave very quickly, because if they don't get the counter offer, but the likelihood is they're going to get it. So yeah, those questions at that point, right at the beginning of the relationship with the candidate, what do they need to offer you for you to stay? What needs to change for you to stay? And they'll come up with 2 or 3 things. And again, these will be motivators why they want to move in the first place. And the company may even offer those things. Whether they happen, this might be some research that if you've had all those counter offers, I'd love for you to go back and to talk to those people and say, did you get what you wanted? Did it change? Now, if it was just money, then that's sort of easily sorted. But most of the time it's not money, is it? So asking people for at least 3, 4, 5 motivating factors. Why would you want to move? Yeah. Either why do you want to leave, or why do you want to join a new company? What's missing that you want in your new business? Gives them an opportunity to then realize it's not just about the money. There's other things here, and they may be hard to change, and the company may not be able to offer that to them.
The sketch.
Thank you.
And also, I mean, and I can't speak factually. I don't have an agency, but I would also think from working with candidates who are dealing with counter offers is that recruiters are getting to a stage now where they're desperate to deliver to clients. So you're speaking to a candidate and they will say, I will accept a counter offer, but you're like, okay, but you know what, your client will offer something better. Just go see my client because it's going to be better than what you have at the moment. So I think maybe recruiters are also diving headfirst into these situations because of the lack of the talent pool. And yeah, we just maybe not walking away when we hear that a candidate quite clearly say, I'm here for the money. Because you desperately want to deliver.
Yeah.
I also feel like Sam mentioned it a bit earlier when we were chatting. Clients are taking longer too, and that also doesn't help the situation whatsoever. And in a market that is already so tight, not only does length of time come into play, but the entire end-to-end candidate experience, which rightly includes a huge chunk of what the recruiter does as part of that candidate experience, also needs to seriously be looked at. Because when you're a scarce skill, you likely got 2, 3 possibilities in that mix at maybe even an international company or 2. And then you have a shocking experience here. We're not helping the situation at all. And I'm saying this both from a recruiter perspective, our recruitment experience as part of the agency's experience, and the client's recruitment experience needs to step up, I think, significantly to make a bit of a change as well. If we add that into the mix, I'm not saying it's the only problem, but it is, I think, some of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So counter offers, then we know that it's going to happen. It's happening at an extreme rate at the moment, and certainly in Africa with those. So let's have those conversations with the client, with the candidate, right from the offset. Let's prepare ourselves for them and what's going to happen when it happens, so everyone knows and has a plan for it. But of course, then hopefully you won't feel so guilty, because I don't know if you're like me, but as a recruiter, if someone did accept a counter offer, I felt really bad for the client. Yeah, you've done all that work, you've got it right, they've got the person they want, and then they take another position, and you just think, oh, it's heartbreaking, that bit, isn't it, getting to the end.
Yeah. So, if I can add, the other day I made a video, a TikTok video on counter offer. I quickly deleted it because I can't deal with trolls. But what was quite interesting was a lot of my American audience bit back, and they were like, a counter offer is actually all the company's fault because why aren't they paying their staff the right salary? And how dare we ever blame candidates? This is not their fault. This is they're entitled to do it. Companies should be stepping up and not just doing the 10% increase annually. It should be market related. And if they're jumping 20, 30,000 K a year, they've got to pay that. And I did have to sit back a bit and thought, okay, that's also not a wrong view to take. Maybe candidates wouldn't be doing counter offer if they weren't getting inflation increase annually, because it's not realistic. But it's also interesting how every country sees a problem so differently. I was very quick to go, these darn candidates, and America was like, actually, you're very wrong. These are darn companies. So
and
yeah,
I think, sorry, just to add to that, from an American perspective, is that an annual increase is not something that happens as frequently as in other parts of the world. It's not like a given that you get a bonus or an annual increase. So a lot of people in the States use that counter offer in order to be able to, really jump up another rung on the salary kind of level. So
makes sense why they jumped on that. Okay.
I think that's probably why they were trolling you.
Here in the UK, for the last 10 years, we hardly had any salary increases as we were coming out of the GFC and trying to build back again. And it just got to a level, that was it. And my best friend's a GP. She was, in 15 years, as a doctor, hadn't had a pay increase. So over that time, her salary was so much less because of the cost of living crisis. It's only been the last year where we're now got salary increases around the 6% mark, so nowhere near the 10% of the US, but it is outstripping inflation finally. But of course, we're way behind. It needs to carry on for a few years for that to actually make a difference as to whether that happens or not. So, I mean, we're sort of referencing here our hiring happenings with a pestle twist, because politics, economics, the sociological issues, the differences between the countries there, the technology, the legislation that's happening, environment, all these things we talk about on our podcast, because they do impact recruitment, and we don't always get recruiters seeing that bigger picture and understanding maybe what's going on in the world or what's going on in their location that will have an impact on that. So if we can do the research, find out that information, listen to the podcast, you'll get a lot from there, and then use that in discussions with candidates, with clients. So it'd be interesting. Are we having those conversations with clients and candidates about the counter offers, or are we sort of waiting to the end and hoping it doesn't happen? You tell me.
I think it depends on the relationship, to be honest. There's always this whole thing of, an agency third-party recruiter doesn't have as good a relationship with their clients, which I think is absolute crap, because that's not always the case at all. These ladies who you've got on the call here, Sam and Gita, are very respected in the South African recruitment industry, and I'm sure have amazing relationships with their clients. So they would probably call these ladies and say, look, geez, this is what's going on at the moment. Can you give me some of your insights? So for me, I think it does come down to that trusted relationship. And for me, recruiters just never understand their worth in a business setting, because they literally are at the coalface. They are meeting with candidates on the ground. They know what's happening in the industries. They know what candidates want, yet they still don't get a seat at the table. And this is mainly for, internal talent acquisition people. Yeah, I mean, I think business should consult with them way more than what they actually do. And, only consult with them when they're not getting the right people in the right roles. And then they realize, actually, we need to be a little bit more inclusive in our hiring decisions, because a recruiter knows it's pointless opening an office in this place because you're not going to get the skills there, where business just does tend to make a lot of assumptions and don't do their due diligence around, talent intelligence these days. So, yes, I think yes and no. It's, again, not purely a South African thing, but the better the relationship, the more opportunity it is for clients to lean on the recruiter more, which they should be doing.
Wouldn't it be a great call?
Yeah, 100%. You are so correct. And I think you're right. It boils down to an agent. So some agencies are just better at it or place more emphasis on building those client relationships and having that more consultative rather than transactional approach. And I think predominantly in South Africa, there's so many agencies. It's not unlike the UK or the US. There's millions of agencies there as well. But I think in South Africa specifically, there's been a low barrier to entry to recruitment for one, and it's not as regulated as in other parts of the world for secondly, and that opens the door to the extremes, both those agencies that are doing exactly what you're saying and those agencies that are not. And I think the combined experience and the ones not being loud enough in approaching it, like you say, make for a very mixed bag, and why possibly we don't get a seat at the table as often as we should as a collective.
It would be a wonderful world if we were brought in at the beginning for the workplace planning, we're thinking of doing this, or this is our plans for the next year, so talk to us about staffing and how that's going to impact it. Let's hope for that utopian world where that happens. We've had quite a lot of questions over on LinkedIn, people looking for work. So if you're looking for people, there's some IT people on there that are looking for jobs. We've got Thabis who's saying, why recruiters still use the stereotype way of recruiting? I don't know what they mean by that. Is that a South African term, the stereotype way of recruiting?
I think she probably means a stereotypical way of recruiting and, just doing things the same old way and not thinking out of the box, which I would actually, maybe disagree with Thabis at this point in time and say that it is changing. It just takes a while for an industry to change. I saw that question actually pop up when I was talking about more around the counter offer kind of space and not mitigating the counter offers up front. What do you ladies have to say about that? I think our industry is changing. I'm feeling a very refreshed resurgence. There's a lot of recruiters out there who are not just there using recruitment as a stepping stone into a full HR profession. And there's people that are career recruiters out there these days, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this statement, to be honest.
Are you? Okay.
I just, and I guess it's all about perception. I think recruitment is losing relationships, and I think this is why we are getting more counter offers, because candidates aren't trusting recruiters. You don't have a proper communication line. When you talk to candidates, it really should be like your friend. You should know everything about it. We're now doing everything over email. It's becoming too systemized, and we're using AI for a lot of things, and I don't think that's the right approach. Recruitment isn't difficult. The system is to get to know your client. What do they need? Get to know the candidates, and do an introduction. So that will always be old school recruitment, and that's all that it is to it. But I think the biggest problem that I'm seeing is that people are too scared to pick up the phone. We're not talking. We're not understanding each other. That's why fall-offs happen. We don't actually know what the client's wanting, and maybe clients don't want to invite us because all we're doing is emailing. But I can definitely sense that when I deal quite specifically with software engineers. I do a video call. No one starts with a video, but they must put their video on, because there's some kind of bond when you make eye contact and you see each other's faces. And I find those people will always be honest, and they will tell me if they're interviewing elsewhere or they're doing a counter offer. But I think we're definitely losing human contact, and that is all that recruitment is. So I hope that she does reply to what she means by that question. So I can't see the LinkedIn questions, but I think we should go a little bit more back, do more relationships.
I think it's definitely changed a little bit. I don't think we're doing things exactly the same way. Some agencies use AI more than others. Some use it for not for those touch points, but for simplifying administrative processes. But I do think there's been a move to look at more unbiased kind of assessment, a skills-based assessment, rather than just a verbal, let's see what I think kind of approach to recruitment. I do think that, again, and it's an agency-specific thing. Not all agencies can be tarnished with the same brush. There are some that have really worked particularly hard to focus on that relationship, the more people-centric approach, and others that have taken the lazy approach and used AI. And quite frankly, I think those are going to fall by the wayside, and the ones that add the value of that consultative approach will be sticking around, because there will be only so much of a pie in the near future, and those that want the pie will work for the pie, and those that don't are going to lose out. Simple as that.
100%. 100%.
Van, I'm going to bring you in on this, because this is what we're trying to promote at the moment, as with your new webinar as well, isn't it? Revolutionizing recruitment practices, of utilizing AI and automation for the repetitive, boring jobs, the stuff that compliance-wise needs to get done, that can do the work quickly and efficiently and hopefully correctly, where recruiters aren't that great at some of that stuff, especially updating CRMs with all the things it needs. So they've got time to have the conversations, to pick up the phone. I'm just going to share before I let you in. The call I had this morning was a lady I worked with a year or so ago, and it was because I left her a voice message. She didn't answer the phone, so I left her a voice message saying, I'm thinking of you. I happen to be in your street where you were working. What are you up to? What's going on? And we ended up having a long conversation this morning. The first thing she said, I really want to say thank you for leaving me the message. It was lovely to hear your voice, and it was lovely to hear this. And I just thought, that's such a simple thing, and yet she really appreciated it. So, Van, I'm getting framed. I suddenly feel like James Bond in The Circle bit.
Yeah, I was about to say, I want to see what's under that tail. So on that point, Angela, exactly 100%. I mean, if you look at the history of recruiters, recruiters have always hidden from the telephone, allegedly, and then they have hidden from meeting up with people in person. Then they've hidden behind emails, and now we're getting a scenario where recruiters are hiding behind the AI. So it's such an interesting conundrum at the moment. It's that wherever recruiters can dodge and dive, we get told that's what's happening. But I see it happening too. I'm not saying that that's an incorrect statement at all, but AI does need to be used, as you said. Let's use it to take away the administrative, repetitive task in recruitment. Because if you think about like a 360 recruiter, how much work is actually involved in that? You need to be on your A game every day, be pleasant, be friendly, be happy with everyone, closing deals, finding new business, chatting with candidates, doing the admin side of it, closing deals, doing follow-ups, bringing in more business. It's huge. That 360 is ridiculous. It's too big. For me, it's kind of like something has to give. But if you are going to use AI, use it in a very smart way. Use it to help you to automate some processes, to speed up some processes. But your recruiter who is, going into the free version of ChatGPT and saying, write an email to someone telling them they didn't get the job, and then whatever comes up first, and they're copying and pasting and putting into an email, are not doing the industry any favors. And those are the recruiters which I hope will be replaced by AI one day, because they're not adding any value. Okay, they must go. So, I really feel that, this technology and this AI has the potential to make a huge difference, and it should do. I really do feel that. It's my fault.
Just to highlight Pascal's comment on there, the solution is always the other person. The more you meet up and communicate, the better it is. Well said.
And just to back, I wasn't disagreeing with AI in that. I was just, Samantha-Leigh was, why are we still using stereotype ways of recruiting? To me, that doesn't include how we capture our data and do our ATS and all the admin. To me, if you can take that all away and put that in AI, amen.
He's God.
I'm assuming Samantha-Leigh is a candidate, and all she would know is how we're communicating and how we're placing her. All the back end stuff is amen to changing all of that. Recruiters aren't the best at that at all.
And having been in this industry for 3.5 decades, I'm going to take a little frontage for that. I don't think we are stereotypical. We're one of the industries that really grabs onto anything innovative. We're there. We're willing to take it on and have a look at it. Whatever new turns up, we'll try and utilize it and integrate it. So the conversation this morning, she'd been a recruiter 9 years ago. She'd gone back to doing recruitment, said, my God, it's changed so much in those 9 years. It's a different ball game altogether from what she expected. And that's always the way. We're always evolving. Maybe, to me, the stereotypical recruiting is the building relationships. It's the having conversation. It's understanding the needs of the client and the candidate. That's what recruiting is all about. And I don't think that should ever change. Because so
that's the basis, that's what recruitment is built on, isn't it? It's the power of human relationships. Angela, I've got a little personal rule for myself. It reminds me of your story, and this is what we have to do in a world of AI, because there's a lot of distrust about, did Vanessa write that actual email, or did Vanessa do this, or is this the GPT that she has created? And a simple thing that I do. So if it's someone's birthday and I see it's their birthday on Facebook or something, and I think, do I know them well enough to actually have their phone number in my phone? And I've, had the same number for 20 years. I've got a lot of people in my phone book. I will go and stand outside as a good excuse to get up and walk around, and I'll record them a birthday message on my video and I'll send it to them on WhatsApp. And just that simple step is just, if I know them well enough that I have their phone number and then I keep in touch with them, it's just, I know it's just like an annual reminder kind of thing, but it really goes a long way in order to be able to keep in touch with people. And the same when it comes to, if I've got a client that needs feedback or whatever, I don't voice note. When I go to voice note, my question is this to myself: shouldn't it actually be a video message? Because then they're seeing you, it's the real you. Like you, I often have a cat on my head, or there's seagulls outside, or, it's authentic, it's real. And that's what people want these days, more of that.
It really brings it to life, doesn't it? And why are we hesitating? Why are we even having this conversation as to trying to influence people to pick up the phone more, or to send a video message? Surely this is a no-brainer. Why would people not be willing to do that, do we think?
That's easy. It's lack of confidence. I don't know about you ladies, but when I turned 40, someone flicked a switch that it was the I don't give a shit switch, is what I refer to it. And seriously, it's luck, it's what happens. And I think for the younger generation, the new recruiters on the block, I think that, you've got to kind of get that confidence in order to be able to, so what, you're having a bad hair day, it is what it is.
Then I think you said something earlier about 360 being too big. I think part of, and depending on, again, it's really dependent on what agency you work in and the environment. It is so big, and depending on where you are, there's so many expectations of a newer recruiter, or even a recruiter full stop, that I think they pick where something has to give. And if you're on the phone, you can't be doing admin and something else and trying to catch up on 20 gazillion other things. And I think it gets lost there as well. There's just our expectations are so huge in some environments that you can't do it all. And unfortunately, some people are just picking the wrong thing to let go of.
Yeah, and agreed, 100%.
Thabisili's just clarified for us as well. She was talking about the comment about AI is what she was referring to, and not being in touch with humanity. So I think she's with us, ladies. We're on the same page with regards to that one.
We're all on the same page. Yeah.
That's fantastic to pick up from there. Okay. So what other challenges then are we facing at the moment? We've done one from Sam. So Gita, what would you say is your biggest challenge at the moment?
I find that, when you've got good candidates, process also needs to move fast. And I think it just takes too long sometimes. And I think there's a bit of nervousness on the side of the client as well. There's so many business challenges in general that they have to make a good decision, and therefore the managers are either there's almost a hesitancy to commit, and that creates problems down the road. And there's also a level of uncertainty. So like adding 15 million things into one job description makes it more difficult. So I do feel that there's an equal pressure on clients or companies in our market to make right hires from the beginning, and that creates a level of hesitancy in choosing the right person for fear of the repercussions and the cost of making a wrong hire. So that delay it's a double-edged sword, quite honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's been there since the beginning of time, that one, isn't it? And so tips and techniques then. How can we speed up the recruitment process? Majority with our clients. I don't think the candidates try and hang it out too much. It might be at the offer stage if they've got another interview and getting to that point. Hopefully you know about that all along the way. You've been asking them about other things that they've been put forward to, or they've had interviews or even offers with. That's key to keep requalifying them all the way. But certainly with the clients and their processes. So what tips and techniques would you share for our recruiters out there? And this is with TA as well, with hiring managers. I've been doing exactly this the last couple of weeks with internal recruiters. They struggle as well with their hiring managers for the speed and the process of it. So it works both ways. Sam, you're smirking. So what ideas have you got?
You know, I have found that when the client meets the candidate, they make the offer immediately. And what I have seen this last 6 months, when there's been hesitation, Gita, you're 100% right. They go back to the JD and they're like, actually, no, we need to add this, add this, add this, add this, add this. So there is no speeding up until you've qualified that JD 100%, because when you're in the process, then it's just too late. But again, it just comes back down to how you have your relationship with the clients, and also knowing your industry. I've read some job specs and I've been like, what the hell? This is impossible. This person can't do this and this. You're not going to find that. And then calling it out before you even work it. I think the more junior recruiters, or if you don't specialize, it's quite hard to look at a job spec and be like, well, they're not going to have Delphi and worked in Java and be able to have that call. I think that will speed it up. But yeah, I think we might be also at a stage of walking away. I've been like, sometimes it's okay to walk away from a client, and it doesn't have to be permanent. Like, let them find their business 2-3 months. The whole world is in a bit of a crazy place. I don't know if anyone watched the debate between Trump and Joe yesterday. Wow.
Halfway through,
I thought our elections were a mess. but now even so our
Good reassuring, isn't it?
And now also our party, it looks like that coalition's not going to work. So that has now become unstable from today. So companies understandably are like, okay, we want this. Oh shucks, no, we want this. Government changes, elections change. Actually, no, game plan change. We need to save this. And recruiters are just tossed and turned. Step back, wait for things to settle. And I know we need to make money, but there are clients who know what they need and go with that. Yeah, sometimes the hardest part is to walk away, and I'm pretty sure that's a love song somewhere.
It's definitely a film in there, but you're right. If they're not willing to give you the time to really qualify that job description, you're just going to get in trouble later on. So whether you make the match wrong and they blame you because it's not right, or like you say, they then start adding things on and, oh, okay, we need this, we need that. So take the time. And if they're only willing to give you 5 minutes, I would say walk away. You really need that time to question and to probe. And it's okay for them to send the job description to start with, but then go back with all your questions. We've got a document. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, just ask message me on LinkedIn. I'll put my LinkedIn profile in there. Actually, all yours are in there already, aren't they? I always forget to put mine in. But it's got 72 starter questions for when you're taking a job description. And the reason it's starter is because you don't know what their answer is going to be. There will be probing questions that come after that. And I've got an in-house version and an agency. So either one would be relevant to you. But what's critical is, what can we do to move the process along once we've got that qualified job? What worked really well for me as a recruiter was asking for direct interviews. So taking out the CV step, where that you're sending the CV, you're waiting for the feedback, they're then going through and then you're deciding. So if you really do know your client, it's unlikely they'll ever do it with you the first time around, but hey, ask, you never know. But ask for 3 interview slots, preferably all on one day, for a week from when you take the job on, and you fill those slots and you provide them with the briefing and the CV so that they can do a good interview job on the day. But yeah, you already have done the first interview, or you should have done. As a recruiter, that's your job, to interview the candidates and find out who's suitable for the job. They've just got to pick the one that fits in the best and they think is going to do the best job for their company. So we don't need to be hanging around. We can speed that up, very much so. Gita, you're nodding. Do you do that?
Yep. My suggestion would be not to be afraid to have honest conversations earlier on. We are close to the ground. So if we had better conversations earlier, like your salary margins are out of whack, your requirements are too broad for what's typically available in the market, earlier, we would probably get somewhere sooner. But also to negotiate the variables right up front. Okay, you want to stick to 50K, fabulous. What are you letting go of in your requirements that will facilitate that 50K? Or if I could give you everything you met, what would that be? So if you could negotiate those variables right up front and then provide that range from the outset, I think it might also help, rather than going to a round or two to get to the same point.
Cindy Delore is saying, love it, on LinkedIn. There's lots of conversations there, and looks like great candidates as well. So recruiters, get over to the LinkedIn thread and have a look at some of those candidates that are there. Right, we've got one topic, or space for one more topic. So Van, we haven't got one from you.
So I think, and this could be a little bit of a big thing to say here, is that the way that the recruitment industry is charged for their services, I would love to see that change, because I think it's an incredibly high risk model. Like you were saying earlier, like you always felt awful when there was a fall off and the candidate took a counter offer. But oh my God, you didn't feel as upset as your back pocket did when you had put in all of that work as a recruiter and now there was 0 placement fee. So I would love to see recruiters being a little bit smarter and doing things like taking all of these roles that we talk about as a 360 recruiter and saying, for this piece of work, I'm going to charge you this. For this piece of work, I'm going to charge you this. You know, and actually just saying, let's do things differently. Why don't we look at flat fee placements, you know, paid on like a third setup. So not a retainer, but, you know, like a third kind of setup. And I just think that the way it is at the moment is it's not doing anyone any favors. And I think it's why not a lot of people take recruiters seriously, because they all just think recruiters are so expensive, because it's that one massive payment when that successful candidate does get on board and start. But I think that if we structure our fees differently and we start offering different services, you know, even if it's a big corporate and you say that you want to go through their, you know, CV response and you're going to charge them X amount an hour, and then you're going to come out with the top 10 candidates, you know, that you're good at that. I mean, you can look through CVs in your sleep and put the best in front of people, you know. I just think that we've got to start making some changes here, because at the moment there's a lot, I'm being reached out to, and it's really sad, by a lot of recruiters in the industry who are really struggling at the moment, but it's because of the way that they are structuring their business.
Yeah, there's lots of options. We don't have to do it that way. Maybe that's the stereotypical, that contingency. But I remember the recession of 91, and it did get split up, and we were doing CV services and screening services and assessment services. So all of the elements of that job that you tend to do as a 360, it was charging for those, having a project fee up front to take it on. So not necessarily a retainer, but yeah, for that first chunk of work to the point we get you interviews, that's going to be a project fee. And then the fee will be less when you actually take the person on, because you're right, you're not taking so many risks. Have you ever done it differently, Gita and Sam?
I have a consulting model. which it's been really successful, where I've gone in and I do a retainer. And of all the projects, they've always been extended, which has been great. I've actually, Mitch Sullivan and I, many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, he was punting then already. You have to get a retainer, and even if it's on one placement, exactly like you said, from once I deliver CVs, 30% interviews, another 20% on placement, the rest of it. But I've gone to clients and I've been like, okay, so I will lower the percentage to accommodate. We're going to break up the payments, or you're going to pay 25% and you're going to pay me once. And I promise you, the companies are like, we'll pay 25%.
Wow.
So this is a whole new podcast. This is because I don't think it's a lack of recruiters educating clients or telling them that they can save money or models. I think and people like things how they are, like humans. That's how we are. So that's another conversation altogether on how we're going to change this model. But
I know that's what I said. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
So are you setting up a round 3 for the end of the year? Is that what we're doing here?
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good. Amazing.
Wonderful. That's our 45 minutes gone just like that. I knew it would with you, ladies. You're amazing. Thank you for sharing your insights, your ideas, your hints, your tips, as well as your knowledge. Do please go and have a look at the LinkedIn thread, because lots of people on there and some great candidates by the look of it as well. Wonderful. Anyone doing anything interesting at the weekend?
Flying to Joburg, which is not really too exciting. Is what I'm doing this, on the weekend. But but lots of beach time before then.
Oh, that'll be lovely.
I'm looking forward to try Le Tart. It's a French patisserie that has started here. That's got it was an ex-Michelin star chef. He's got perfect little pastries. I'm going to eat as many of them as I can until I feel ill.
Listen, Gita, because you are what you eat, hey? So just be careful there.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'll be a perfect
perfect little person then, Gita. Yeah, you can be that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go and see if this cat will leave me alone.
Sure.
Get some more work done. She seems very happy now next to my microphone. So if you've been hearing purring, that's not a bad thing. I like a purr.
Not your stomach.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Cheers. Bye.